Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kanchi Shah, and it gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you all to the Digital Dialogues 2.0, themed around AI, automation, and future outcomes. This episode is sponsored by Dell Technologies and Reddington, presented by Strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, significant developments in artificial intelligence and machine learning, coupled with the evolution of superior infrastructure, have put industry on the cusp of a new age of automation. Such automation holds the promise of improved performance by reducing errors and improving quality, and in some cases, achieving outcomes that go beyond human capabilities. As organizations move to capitalize on digital trends, the need for intelligent storage, analysis, and protection of massive amounts of data are mandatory for actionable business insights. Additionally, CIOs and IT leaders are also seeking intelligence in IT infrastructure as a way of optimizing costs and reducing capital expenditure. This while enhancing business agility, employee productivity, and customer experience. With automation and AI promising to enable a new surge of productivity, it is no wonder that industry, by and large, looks to accelerating performance, enhancing efficiencies, and increasing innovation. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss through this episode. We appreciate you taking time off your busy schedules to join us today and would request you to please address your questions to our speakers using the Q&A option on your screens. With that, let's kick off today's session with our first segment titled The CXO Dialogues, a conversation on how organizations should approach technology adoption and the incremental business outcomes that will be measured. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Abhay Bapna, AVP IT, Adani Wilmar, and Mr. Sudhakar Shivshankar, Head Digital at Kevin Care. They are going to be in a conversation moderated by Mr. Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Knowledge Officer, Strategic. Over to you, Arjun.
Hello and good morning. I'm Arjun Vishwanathan and I'm going to be your host today. We are in the Digital Dialogues and today we're going to focus on significant developments that have happened over the course of time around the domains of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and automation, which, when coupled with the evolution of superior infrastructure, have perhaps put industry on the cusp of a new age of automation. Such automation that holds the promise of improved performance by reducing errors, improving quality and speed, and in some cases, achieving outcomes that go beyond human capabilities. To join me in this, in what promises to be a very fascinating conversation, please put your hands together to welcome, in no specific order, Sudhakar Shivshankar, Head of Digital for Kevin Care. Sudhakar, welcome, and we are delighted that you could join us.
Thanks, Arjun.
Thank you. And Abhay Bapna, Associate Vice President for Adani Wilmar Limited. Abhay, welcome. Equally delighted.
Yes, looking forward to this session.
Absolutely. Sudhakar, we've got a clear 30 minutes ahead of us. And I must, if I could come to you first, I must ask you this very, very important question of how today, with the ability for infrastructure, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning infused, how does that, in your view, enable organizations to accelerate the rate of innovation?
Great question, Arjun. Today, organizations are, there are a lot of activities which are happening within the organization. Many of these activities are being performed manually, right, prior. Now, with automation and artificial intelligence coming in, coupled with the right infrastructure, I'm talking about the cloud-based infrastructure, organizations are ready, or they have the capability to experiment it faster, deploy solutions faster, test it out faster, right? While there is infrastructure which is providing, it's also very important to have the right tools and the right skills to support the development activity and the deployment activity. So organizations today are looking at what can be done, what cannot be done, right? A lot of articles have been written about artificial intelligence across the internet, right? But it's very important for organizations to also understand their context, their infrastructure, and see what can be implemented and what these technologies can do for them, right? There are various examples which we'll probably talk over the period of time, but I would say infrastructure being cloud becomes a critical component when we are talking about automation and artificial intelligence. And not to forget the compute. Today, compute has become extremely affordable compared to what it was a couple of years ago. So the GPUs have started to reduce. Yeah, not given the brief period right now where we have challenges on the chipset, but otherwise it has started to reduce.
No, it's actually a very fascinating set of points that you made because Abhay, I'm going to come to you with the same logic and the same question, which is really Sudhakar spoke about the concept of compute. Now, compute has become so much more affordable as well, has evolved in the kind of finesse that organizations expect today as they move towards automating more processes. Now, how do you see that bearing upon your particular industry, and what are your perspectives on how organizations can leverage compute, which is fundamentally data at the underlying base or the foundational level, to be able to drive more automation and therefore work towards moving on this journey of becoming the intelligent enterprises of tomorrow?
Uh, yes, yes, I think this is the relevant thing which is needed for current in the, like, this is the right question. The reason is because the organization were working over a period of time. They have different types of manufacturing units. Some are latest, where you have latest tools supported by the vendors, including AI/ML kind of thing. But what is happening over a period of time is the business needs to understand what is my key pain point area which I'm trying to solve with the automation. So one of the reason why people are moving towards cloud, that's the first thing why, because they want to bring agility. Their existing assets are retiring and they want to have a new digital platform which becomes a base for their growth. So it's not only manufacturing, it's a supply chain, it's a logistic, or any of the component which you take it, there is a need of change actually. So that's the first component. Everybody from management point of view, they have realized, yes, there is a value in this, and how do we achieve that value? So cloud, the cost is one component, but security is another component which everybody looks into today's world because it's a too competitive. You have to think fast actually. So that's first thing, that the value which we derive by having a digital platform. That's the first thing. Second was security, of course, because that's because you are taking some data, you're outside, so that becomes it. Now, how do I ensure my data, which is generated across plants, across logistics, across sales and and across sales? Now, machine learning is the one thing which is needed, but how do I add? What is your problem you are trying to? It's a machine frequently breaking down. That's one problem. Is the operational efficiency is the second problem? Is the TAT at the plant is the issue, where do you have too many manual work? Logbooks are manual logbook where dependency on people is high. Instead of, like, having a digital platform where you log in the information quick, fast, you have the info. Say example is plant maintenance. It's the one activity where the engineer goes to the location, find out what is his logbook, what is the OEM vendor say, what are the things to be changed, then one or other things are missing. But what we are trying to do is move to the intelligent plant automation maintenance activity where nobody needs to go anywhere. When the engineer goes to the site, he knows for this reason these are the possible thing I have to take action, and that is how he can reduce the turnaround time, better quality of data. Our objective overall is to get the machine driven data which are high volume, high variety is also there, say plant maintenance or predictive maintenance or turnaround time, because in a plant you have number of steps. Now you have to identify which is the step which takes a lot of it. So it generates or utilities data, electricity, gas, steam, water. It's generating huge number of data. Now how do I analyze it? It's manually or through manual mind or in Excel, you cannot do. Therefore, you need something which can help you to give or guide at particular point of time if something goes wrong, if temperature is high, if the pressure is high, or if something is wrong, then you should get an alert at that point of time. That is how digital helps you in taking a proactive decision instead of post facto decision when the things are gone wrong and then
Yeah,
you try to
absolutely.
analyze.
I couldn't agree more. And with your permission, I'm going to take exactly that back to Sudhakar, which is Sudhakar. Abhay spoke about the whole concept of, and I particularly did note this down, spoke about digital platforms and value. Now, when you kind of break value down to its atomic level, it fundamentally means data. Now, data, and as Abhay rightly said, is being generated in copious and vast amounts across endpoints, whether it's machines, it's people, whether that's devices, IoT, and sensors, and so on and so forth. Therefore, my question is, before the data becomes a strategic business asset or a strategic value-based asset, it's also important to store that data in an intelligent manner. How important, therefore, in your view, is storage modernization by itself to be able to take data to the next level?
Yeah. As you rightly called out, data is a very strategic asset for an organization today. And our first initiative when we started off on the path of digitization or digital transformation, our first initiative was to get enterprise data or set up a data lake and a data warehouse, right? We took a significant amount of time to get that infrastructure right, the architecture right, right? We are talking about data acquisition, data transformation, data storage, security of data, who has what kind of access, and also tracking the data lineage, right? All these things, we took time to set that infrastructure right. Once we were able to set it, then comes the next part is the descriptive data, right? What happened, right? That is what we started off with the journey. Now, in order to get into do predictive analytics or give any kind of anomaly detection or futuristic, you really need to have these core components ready. The core data elements, the access to the data, the data audit, which is very critical. I have realized that there are, because it's a legacy system, what happens is you're getting data from various sources, and there is always a challenge with the data, right? It is either incomplete or inconsistent, right? Lot of things have happened over the period of time. So that is where it's very important to have a proper master data management system in place. Otherwise, you will have inconsistency of data, which means that you will not be able to even provide a proper descriptive stats or ML ops. Having said that, I go back to the point which Abhay mentioned. Factory automation or digitization of the factory is probably one of the critical component outside of the ERP systems like the sales, logistics, and finance, which is happening. The reason is a lot of steps, the quality aspects of our product depends on what is coming out of these machines. And today, most of these things are captured in physical logbooks, right? Now, converting that into a digital form, it could be as simple as give an app to capture the OE details or making the equipment itself intelligent with the sensors. It could be temperature sensors, vibration sensors, humidity sensors, or any other sensors. Extracting that and capturing that information makes two parts. One is traceability of a customer complaint right to the line where you are able to track it, as
Indeed.
well as monitoring the quality of the finished goods which is coming out of the product. Are they within the optimal range, or are they part of the SOP? For all these, data becomes the core component. And yes, we spent, I would suggest any organization getting onto digital transformation to first focus on the data, get the data, harness the data, and then look at all the challenges these data can address.
Interesting. That's actually a very fascinating perspective to it because, Abhay, I come to you pretty much with the same question. This race towards value acceleration also has modernization as perhaps one of the foundational pillars. And increasingly, IT modernization has gained significant traction within organizations. From that point of view, what is your perspective on the whole concept of storage modernization and, of course, the modernization of compute?
Uh, so like storage again depends on what kind of data you are trying to capture at plant level, at OEM level, or and volume veracity of data, and what are the outcome you want to derive from that data. If my predictive maintenance or plant maintenance or operational efficiencies, if I try to see, I need some data at the lower level, at edge level, where I can immediately decide, I can give warning, I can give alert, I can give exception to the users to take corrective action instead of post facto analysis of the thing when you lose 1 hour, 2 hour downtime, which also is a cost. Okay. So how do I reduce that component? So one data storage is the edge level and another is at the cloud level where you do multi OEM, multi plant, multi location analysis. That is more of the higher level. So we have divided into two parts: edge level computing data and the plant um, at the management reporting level. So that's how we went over it. So our first objective was to reduce the downtime. If you reduce a downtime every day by 1 hour, it's nothing but 30 hours in a worst case scenario, 30 hours in a month, which is nothing but one full day's production. And if you into count into 12 months, so it's a huge number. And if you try to save that, it's a directly proportional to how you are helping to organization to improve efficiency, reduce cost, and reduce spare cost, last minute service engineers call, mechanical engineer, reduce the inventory at the plant level. So these are the things which we have divided into two, and that is how. But that is one component. Second is when you have multiple applications in the sales side, you need some platform which is nothing but a data warehouse, data lake, where you store customer 360-degree data for better analysis. Now, if you have multiple source of data for customers, then it becomes a challenge to synchronize, standardize, and transform that data into value, which area, which society, which city is performing, which is not performing. My salesman is performing, not performing. So there are multiple ways, but all needs to be started based on the organization key problems and drive that into next level. It cannot be like, you cannot have a total solution at once because it's a journey. When we started manufacturing or logistic, it's almost 3.5 years we started. Now we have a good data quality, machine driven data quality, which enables us to do better AI ML prediction and help user to consume that data. It's nothing but a suggestion of the system, and user needs to finally judge based on the external and internal what data needs to be, what action needs to be. So that's how we divided. Some component are on the edge level, some on the cloud, and some on the latest SaaS service.
Very interesting. Then, because Sudhakar, I must come to you now because we've fairly established the fact that data is a strategic business asset, and as it continues to grow in its stature within organizations, it's the imperatives towards modernizing the storage, the compute power to be able to drive forward automation. But my fundamental question, and if I were to take a step back, Sudhakar, is what is your guidance, therefore, to organizations on how the automation journey must even be approached now? Is it to be done in phases? Is it one single journey? What is your perspective and what is your really, well, first prescriptive guidance on that?
Yes. See, automation, when you're starting on an automation, it is not something which can happen in one shot. It is always incremental process, right? So they're always low hanging, strategically significant stuffs, some things which can be done faster. I would look at probably figuring out what are the most repeatable activities which humans are doing right now, and is it automatable? If it is automatable, to what extent is it automatable? Is it fully automatable or is it partially automatable? And what is the value it gives to the human operator, right? If you are able to analyze these, that becomes your starting point of getting into the automation journey. Take a simple example. In our case, we get purchase orders coming from various vendors, various marketplace and distributors. Now, a human being is reviewing all these things and punching into a system, right? Can I automate? Now, this guy might be spending 30 hours or 40 hours in a month to just do this activity. These are low hanging fruits, and these are some things which an automation can absolutely automate it, right? But then there is also a component of AI which comes into place, like in terms of
Indeed.
OCR and stuff like that, right? And building intelligence on top of it. Those are some things which probably can be taken at a later phase. Look at incremental improvements in automation, not on a big bang approach. The other critical area of automation, area where I would look at is there is definitely going to be a lot of legacy systems in the organization which do not have APIs or web services or any kind of third-party integrations. Today, somebody is manually downloading the data, generating MIS reports and sending it. The entire operations of MIS reports and downloading the data, that would be another area to really focus on and bring in automation. I would say that's a big task which probably addresses a lot of stuff. It also helps you in building your own data warehouse as well as providing value to customers in terms of MIS automation.
Interesting. Because Abhay, I have a similar question to you, which is more like a supplementary to this, which is again the whole concept of how automation must be approached, given that today the potential for technology to enable so much more in terms of opportunities is immense. Therefore, my question to you also is in this journey of automation, which is exciting yet complex, what, in your view, are the clear opportunities as well as the challenges that must be looked at, measured, and monitored throughout the journey?
Um, so like, every company has different approach. Actually, you cannot take the generalized approach. So like, um, definitely you have to plan it properly. You need to have a strategy, vision, direction, KPIs, what you want to measure, because you can do like, your first and foremost place where you can think is the application which are going to retire. That's a first place to attack. Second is, that the applications which are like, you have a critical business problem and which, is contributing to high cost or efficiency or productivity loss. These are the one which you can identify. Then some application you have to decide again, should I retain or should I move to the new cloud? Should I existing application, should I, because when you're talking about digitization and all this, so you have to decide on the existing constraints, limitations which you have on the application which are hosted on premises. Should I move it to cloud, and how quickly I can migrate to the new cloud? And you have to rethink, because it's technology is changing so fast, like, especially mobility, data volume, and manufacturing and logistics and supply chain. You cannot, like, um, have a, like, piecemeal approach, but overall you need to have an approach, then divide into three critical components, focus on that. Low hanging is another, but critical component which contributes to the, which can enable and which can give you good data to the management, to plant, to distribution, to logistics. That's the one where you have to focus actually. Otherwise, there are too many things from infrastructure point of view which you are doing, and data is the one which is driving everything. So data quality, how you acquire your data. If it is machine driven data, there is no scope to manually modify the data or manipulate. Or so if it is machine driven data, you get a better result from the same data set, which is volume variety is huge actually. So try to get the data from the machine, mobility, whichever are the platform which will help you, which ensures that there are hardly manual intervention and a better quality of data. Because when you say AI, ML or any prediction, you require good quality of historical data. Historical data needs to be fine tuned. The machine learning algorithm needs to be tuned, and then you have to arrive. So it can be pricing model, it can be distribution model, it can be logistic models. So there are multiple areas where we can redefine,
Absolutely.
but start simple, don't complicate, because things are changing so fast. By the time we implement one technology, two more new comes up, and you are totally lost. You are totally confused.
I couldn't agree more on that, Abhay, for
And
sure. Now, because that's exactly why my question, therefore, is, and Sudhakar, if I could come to you, if it has fairly been established that this is the way forward, how, therefore, as CIOs and IT leaders and digital leaders, are you working towards creating an agile, adaptive, and a future-proof IT foundation for the enterprise, such that the journey of automation is also able to infuse innovation into the very fabric of the enterprise, therefore leading to hypercompetitiveness?
Yeah, there's a big one. There's a big
It is
question,
indeed.
right? It's a lot of change management needs to be in place to actually bring in a culture of digital into the organization. So what we started off, we are fairly young in digital, right? We are just 18 months, 19 months old in the digital journey right now. So we went ahead and did a lot of experiments or MVPs as we can call, and showcased it to different groups within the business, right? The art of possibilities, using AI, using analytics and We did some forecasting model. We built some image analytics. We did human recognition, a lot of stuff across different technologies. Now, when we started to see business showing some interest in one of those areas, then we started to scale it up. But when we started to scale it up, we clearly understood what is the problem they're trying to solve and how important it is, right? If it is a very simple one and there are not, we don't see too much of significance in that area, then it doesn't make sense, right? So we had certain characteristics defined to take up projects. We evaluated each of these projects under those characteristics and then started taking it forward. But it's very important that we continue to do experiments. Not all experiments will become production ready, but these experiments helps you understand two things. One is helps the business understand the art of possibility. The second one is you also look at what is that you are capable of building it either yourself or with the partner ecosystem, given the infrastructure and the data what can be churned out. Because many of these technologies also comes with a lot of misconceptions, right? People assume to think that, okay, there's a problem, yeah, AI can solve that problem, right? It's probably incorrect to have that. That is the reason why we started doing a lot more experiments in this area.
Interesting, because Abhay, I have the same question for you, really, which is what is your guidance to building an agile, adaptive, and a future-proof IT foundation for the organization as you traverse this journey of digitalization within the entire enterprise?
So first and foremost is the ownership of this. It's not an IT-driven initiative, it's a business problem solving. Therefore, business needs to be part of this. That's the driver. So first and foremost, any because Sudhakar also said that change management is the biggest. Like if IT is putting something to business, whether they accept or not, our first and foremost objective should be value of that digital change which we're trying to. How do I am trying to reduce? How do I try to improve the production capacity of my plant? Or how do I reduce the downtime? Or how do I ensure that my electricity or water or steam consumption is less? How do I do that? When you show it to them, when you do pilot with the users with a small set, then they really understand what is happening. Actually. Otherwise, they have all tools IT will think, but what is really important that their pain point we are trying to solve. When we say predictive maintenance or plant maintenance or operational efficiency, what we are trying to do is improve quality of life of the plant operational and technical people who are working at plant. We don't want to call them at the midnight saying XYZ machine is not working. So how do you help it? We need to start thinking from that angle as a first step to get an alignment with the business. It's a co-innovation, co-learning phase actually for both business, technology, and partner also. Because all this new technology, when you bring the domain expertise, is very critical in this. Without that, it's just a trying it out. But when you try with the pilot approach with the key problems identified, focus on top three,
Yeah.
and then drive it, it works. Yes, data is the critical component. Where do you want to store? What type of data it is? And what is the analysis? So you have to be very clear on what KPIs you are trying to measure with any solution. Otherwise, it's just like some colorful dashboard, but it does not give you any insights, any value. Then what is the point? So therefore, whether it is a manufacturing, logistics, sales, we have to understand their problem and give solution according. That's what my opinion.
No, that's actually very, very fascinating and very impactfully articulated, Abhay. And this is increasingly turning out to be a fascinating conversation, to say the least. But I do have a view on the clock, and within the segment, we've only got a few minutes left. So, Sudhakar, I must therefore ask you as we wind this conversation down, and while we've spoken about a range of subjects, your guidance to newer IT leaders as they move towards digitalization, value acceleration, automation. What are two or three important learnings that you will certainly impart uh, so that they can take prescriptive guidance out of that? On this whole concept of automation, artificial intelligence, technology, and the convergence of technology with business.
Yes. A couple of things. I would say the first one is getting the right team in place, right? which is very, very important. A right team in the sense, not the technology team alone, even the consulting team. Understand the core problem and provide guidance, work with the business. The second part is getting the business stakeholders involved as early as possible. I would say probably makes sense to have your team or the digital team embedded with the business to understand their day-to-day challenges, right? That is foremost thing what is required. The third part, I would say, is what is the platform we are going to sell it? Because that is going to define a lot of stuff on how quickly and how you can build your agile delivery organization in the digital part itself. Those are three important pieces. Finally, we spoke at length on the data. I don't have to reiterate that. Setting up the data architecture, have the right architect in place and the data engineering team in place. The last piece I would say is, as we are building all these parts, not just the core cloud infrastructure, your team should be able to experiment fast. So when I say experiment fast, having the entire ecosystem for the digital team or for the development team, where they can spin off a VM quickly, get the data onto their system, experiment it and deliver. There's no point in having a big team, a big infrastructure where somebody has to wait weeks together to get the right data and do an exploratory data analysis. You need to be able to spin off an environment and do it right then and there and see the results. That is the speed at which you need to do. That is the entire
The
infrastructure.
entire
Having a
blueprint of sorts, isn't it? No,
exactly.
absolutely. Abhay, we've had a great conversation. Just to get to know the man behind the technology, we've now been in a fairly virtual work from home, work from anywhere kind of a concept. We've seen disruption more in these last 2 years and perhaps in the last 30 years. One big learning that you'd like to share with us and this wonderful audience, that's been the culmination of the last 20 months of the lockdown, so to say, or the disruption. One big learning, personal, professional, it could be either.
For me, it was like communication method has changed. That's the biggest
Indeed.
thing which we were not like we had, but this helped us to better collaborate with the plant, distributor, vendor, OEM partner. So I feel that people were not using, but I realized that now it's almost 100% use of communication to ease of using agility. All those things have changed actually. When you say you're bringing planned OEM vendor, he is supporting you from remotely using AI or augmented reality and seeing the machines helping at each step. So these are the changes which were not possible. But now the reality is you can do many things and collections of application, whatever it may be. It has changed and the way people are thinking is gradually changing. But everybody understands what is the future going to be. So change management is gradually taking place at all levels.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Gentlemen, this has truly been a very enriching conversation. I'm supremely grateful to both you, Abhay and Sudhakar. That's pretty much what we have time for in this segment. Sudhakar, Abhay, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, perspectives,
Thank
and
you.
your
Thank
views
you.
and guidance.
Thank
We
you.
are
Thanks,
very
Arjun.
grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for the audience, that was I, Arjun Vishwanathan, in conversation with Abhay Bapna and Sudhakar Shivshankar. Please stay tuned with us and we'll be back with the next segment in just a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abhay. Thank you, Sudhakar and Arjun, for that engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Each one of us will truly appreciate those gems of wisdom. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's now move forward to our next segment, titled The Tech Dialogues. Please join me as I welcome Mr. Selinder Tomo, channel leader, storage business for Dell Technologies, who's in a conversation with Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Knowledge Officer, Strategy Solutions. Over to you, Arjun.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Arjun Vishwanathan, and welcome back to the second segment of episode 3 of the Digital Dialogues 2.0. And I'm going to be in conversation with Selinder Toma, channel leader for the storage business, Dell Technologies. Selinder, welcome. Delighted.
Thank you, Arjun. Same feelings here.
Thank you. Selinder, we've got an exciting 25 minutes ahead, and I'm going to put them to absolutely full use. Selinder, you at Dell Technologies, as neck deep that you are with customer conversations, with industry conversations, business and strategic conversations, you're also, I'm assuming, and perhaps seeing significant developments in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and automation. Uh, Coupled with the evolution of superior infrastructure, have managed to put industry on the cusp of a new age of automation. Such automation that holds the promise of improved performance by reducing errors, improving quality, speed, um, and in some cases, achieving outcomes that go far beyond imagined traditional human capabilities. In that kind of a scenario, Salinder, how do you feel that IT modernization should perhaps, for organizations, be the first step towards achieving those superior business outcomes, which technologies such as AI, machine learning, and automation will help them do?
Okay. So that's a very good question. If we look at the current scenarios also, of late 2 years, the life is becoming a bit slow the way it should be. It should go beyond the expectations. Okay, so artificial intelligence or machine learning, all those things, these technologies have been around for quite a while now. See, we all know nowadays what is AI and what is ML. So coming back to and linking that to the IT modernization plan or the IT transformation that a CIO or a CTO would look into, right? So what is happening there? If we look at the last 3 4 years learning also, people are looking for automation, people are looking for smart decision making, right? People are looking for security, people wants to enhance the customer experience, right?
Indeed.
Right, and if we look at, lots of data has evolved in last 3 4 years, whether it is related to medical advances, whether we speak about genome sequencing and all, or we look at the R&D data, research and data analytics. I mean, I would say I was talking to a few of the CIO last week, and they have put their focus on research and data analytics,
Indeed.
right? Because lots of data has got evolved when people started working offline, online, and lots of videos uploads, lot of presentations upload, and then they wanted to resolve their complex problems also. That is another thing where they want to put this AI engine or the machine learning algorithm into the systems that they are using. So these are the things. And apart from this, all put together, the final ask is the business continuity.
Indeed.
So this is how the things are evolving all around. So yes, AI and ML are the technologies that are well adaptable by the people when they are looking towards the modernization of their IT setup. And if you look from an IT manager point of view, or an operation guy or a maintenance guy, they want to do away with a repetitive task,
Yeah.
right? A storage admin doing the same thing or a server admin doing the same thing. So they want to do a different investment of their time to, towards different tasks they want to do. So repetition they want to avoid. Hence, they want to build up a process automation in their entire setup.
Indeed.
So which is evolving, and this would lead to minimizing the human errors.
Yeah.
So the core need, apart from this, is the outcome.
Yeah.
Outcome is the improved efficiency, ease of doing business. So hence, doing such kind of modernization setup with the AI infused technologies and all would help CIOs, CTOs to or the end customers to improve their experience as well their efficiencies.
No, that's actually very interestingly put, Sarinder, because I just noted down something that you said. You spoke about data being the starting point for any kind of modernization. Now, Sarinder, it's also true that with the vast amounts of data that organizations are creating today across endpoints, across sensors, machines, humans, an important aspect of being able to leverage the beauty of AI, machine learning, automation tools, and so on and so forth is the ability to modernize server for compute and storage, obviously, for storage.
Yeah.
From that perspective, how do you feel from a Dell Technologies perspective that the modernization of storage and server compute are perhaps the starting critical pillars for the modernization of business by itself?
So that's very interesting. So Dell has evolved with a very powerful operating systems for their storage or server technologies, so to say that. We have built up predictive models
True.
within and the algorithms which will help process data and understand the potential outcomes of different trends and scenarios. So whenever you do a programming of a storage, when you are going to put it to use, so it will pick up those algorithms and programs automatically so that repetitive task can be avoided. And if it is calling for a preventive maintenance, the user should get the alerts, right? Any predictive analysis has to be done. User should get the alerts, right? And finally, as I said earlier, also the automation is very much important. Depending on the workload, every time user interventions are not required. So it's like a smaller example, dedupe and compression. Earlier technologies, we used to do all those things when manually. Now, inline compression and dedupes are there in the systems developed by us based on the same algorithm and technology, so that user are required to do what they are best at. They should play with the data, they should analyze the data and do the real business value instead of just getting into the hardware software management part of
Fascinating, because then I must ask you this complementary question, which is at Dell Technologies, as you speak to more and more IT leaders and CIOs and CDOs from across sectors, uh, those of those folks who are looking at modernization via artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, obviously. What is your consultative approach to these industries on how to approach the concept of modernization and automation? Do you normally suggest that it's a singular journey, or do you carve it out into phases? What is the Dell Technologies narrative in this?
it. So I'll give you a user example per se here,
Lovely, lovely.
right? So today morning I had a discussion with a IT head IT of a healthcare company which is into pathological assessments and all. So they have got a different lab testing equipments, right? Which has got different storage systems or archival systems and the processing systems. And they are working on a 1G network. And now they want to have a genome sequencing based solutions in place, right? Which is need of the hour.
Indeed.
Okay. So they asked me, look, I want to buy a new setup which will do genome sequencing for me, and I need a archival storage for that. Now I have a old setup in terms of my network. So certainly your current system which are on 10G or fiber channel cannot work on a copper based network or a old LAN setup, right? In that scenario, what we have proposed to take a phase wise approach,
Okay.
that by the time you discuss or plan it out on a storage solution that you want to buy, parallelly you take up a project of your network refresh, rather I would say a passive network refresh, right? So these two projects would go simultaneously. Third thing, that we do the assessment of entire existing infrastructure and we provide you a consolidated solution so that you can migrate or do the tech refresh of your old setup of storage servers and all and bring it to onto a new setup. So in given the current scenario, the kind of pandemic things are
Yeah.
evolving, I would not say increasing, I would say evolving. So customers are not going to shut down their system or take a break of 48 hours shutdown and all and just go for a deployment of new system, and they cannot overhaul the system overnight also. This is one example which is in
Indeed.
terms of a healthcare, and I'll give you a small example for manufacturing setup also.
Indeed.
So manufacturing setup, automobile customer, they wanted to enhance their dealer management setup. But given their retail sales going down, they said we want to take a staggered approach. So first we want to tech refresh our data center, and then we want to tech refresh the end user setup, the client setup.
True.
Because that investment for client setup is co-shared by their dealers also. So since dealers are not making sale and they expect them to modernize everything, it's become a big question mark, right? But why they want to do it now, that's another important. Um, so their setup was almost 7 years old. It's a old legacy systems they were working. Now new app development has happened. They have got a new ERP in place. So a lot of investment from their global corporate is happening across the globe. So there is a push. But then since revenues are down in India for them, so they want to take a phased wise approach. Third thing where customer can always say, like unicorns, they wants to go on a technology which is available on cloud for them. But after some time, they feel like, look, today if I have to go across everything and cloud is the easiest platform for me, but after some time I need to come on prem also. So in that setup, we have the solutions which can enable the customers to work on cloud and then repatriate from the cloud and work on prem. So both the solutions are available in terms of the modernization approach. And yes, of course, the finances plays a major role here.
Indeed.
And from that perspective also, we have launched a few solutions to the customer where we provide flex on demand solutions where they can invest on the servers or the compute, I would say, or the storage capacity they need, right? And they can get into an agreement and they pay back to us on an actual capacity consumption basis.
True.
So these are the models available to give the right approach to the customers.
Salinder, it's also true that Dell Technologies is the forefront of bringing out innovations in infrastructure across storage, compute, and underlying that with infrastructure based artificial intelligence and machine learning set of solutions that, when paired with the appropriate applications or the software, promise to do far, far more than organizations were able to think even about 24 months back or maybe 20 months back when the pandemic hit us. From that perspective, how do you articulate Dell Technologies' narrative, keeping all of this in the background, that helps you work with industry to create an agile, adaptive, and future proof IT foundation for organizations, for industry?
So one innovation which I would say across all the OEMs is evolving is about the adaptability towards NVMe drives, the all-flash technology, where it helps you to reduce uh, consumption of the resources in terms of power and cooling and space. This is one. Third, it improves your compute efficiency, right? So and the performance improves vis-a-vis the standard or old legacy SS drives close to by 60% improvement is there in terms of the using the all flash drives, as well as the latency has reduced like anything. And the key important factor where we are speaking to our customers is that earlier we used to speak about the uh, actual capacity or the capacity consumption that we used to speak about, right? Now we are speaking of effective usable capacity, where we have the technology available. I can do the compression to the tune of 10 is to 1, 20 is to 1. And for my backup systems, like the Dell backup portfolio, we can go 55 is to 1.
Wow,
So,
that's
so
big.
it, yeah, so those kind of compression and dedupe technologies are available, which will help you to save not only the space into your storage drives or storage boxes that you use, and certainly it will save your power cooling and space requirement also. So given the old data center where you were having 10 racks and you adapt to a new technology, whether you are talking about the blade chassis coming into picture or these compressed hard drives that you are looking at, all flash technology that you're using, you are reducing your carbon footprint, which is again a charter of the organizations, right? And you're saving your real estate space also,
Indeed. That's true.
right? And you're getting a speed. That's important, right?
So,
So
Saranjit, then because it just came to me, and you made a very brilliant statement. You said earlier we used to be speaking about capacity. Now we talk about available, usable capacity. My point is increasingly, you'd also perhaps witnessing that organizations are not, when with a healthy acknowledgement and adoption of technology, organizations are moving towards more outcome oriented discussions, where the outcome of the adoption of such technology is expected to be measurable, to be quantifiable. Uh, how do you at Dell Technologies work as partners in progress with organizations to be able to help them not just carve out the outcomes, but also to measure it and, of course, derive it?
So yes, the criterias are very simple. When we look at the RTOs and RPOs, those are the measurable criteria that we look at in terms of customer expectation and the SLAs. So having said that, earlier people used to talk about 5 nines in terms of SLAs or the uptimes they were looking at. Today we are talking about 6 nines. So this is how we have improved a lot. Earlier, the power factor of any equipment people were looking at zero point 0.1, rather, let me repeat, zero point 0.9 is the 9 was the power factor. Today, we are close to 0.99.
Wow.
So those are the technologies which has helped people to improve the things. And like I'll go a step deeper further. We spoke about AI and ML.
True.
Now the concept is towards deep learning,
True.
right? So hence the evolution is happening that okay, the first stage is done, the second stage is done, the third stage is what we analyze from the first and second stage, and that defines the business outcomes for the organization. So if an organization is looking for reducing his their expenses in terms of say transportation expenses, a BP organization which is into transportation,
True.
so they have deployed vehicle management systems and everything, correct? But today, beyond that, we are speaking about the fuel efficiency also.
Yeah, that's true.
Today, we are talking about which vehicle needs maintenance when. It was just not the roster management or the route management or the driver skills management. So, sitting at the control room, you can get the efficiency of your vehicles. What are the fuel parameter consumption happening, right? When is the alert due for the service maintenance for that vehicle? So that the saves the money for the people, for the organization. So like if I deploy a vehicle management system today, so my business outcome should be I should get all the alerts which will help me to save my opex on the vehicle maintenance.
True.
So this is how it goes. So
That's right.
though, yeah.
Please, please carry on, carry on. I'd like you to
So
complete.
so the business outcomes are not that much visible, but when we look across a period of time, whether we are look at a month, at a quarter, or maybe 3 years time, or a 5 years time in terms of the ROI, if I look at, so those are true business outcomes.
Interesting. That's actually quite fascinating when you put it in the perspective of industry. But I must ask you equally this question is that Salinder, increasingly organizations, IT leaders, CIOs are mandated to render business strategy into action. And the key elements that you also spoke about are obviously speed, agility, and scale to be able to effectively deliver measurable results. Now, my question to you is how does Dell Technologies help organization in this, in orchestrating this by leveraging the power of their own data and creating it into strategic business value, into a strategic business asset?
So the technology that what we have coordinated is that the data delivery, how to analyze those strands and develop the data consistency across providing the right forecast and quantifying uncertainties,
Yes, yes. De-risking.
de-risking. And this will help companies to make the best decisions. So the technology that we speak about across our storage portfolio, the server portfolio, right solution for the right workloads. So when we look at our entire portfolio, when a customer is working on a file workloads, or a customer is working on a block workload, or customer is working on a Oracle or a ERP environment, so to say that we have the solutions which are type tested on these platforms.
Yeah.
So all the solutions are based on certain use cases. So that's how, and that gives a commitment to the customers. So to say that we are the only one in the industry to speak about future proof loyalty program to our customers, which is about the efficiency or the performance of the product that we commit to them today. And this remains valid till next 3 years of the operation of that product. So if I say I will give you efficiency, or rather I would say the data reduction ratio 4:1 today for a product like PowerStore, where we claim that without assessment, I will give you 4:1.
Yeah.
That means if you are looking for 100 terabyte storage, in layman terms, 25 terabytes suffice your requirement.
Correct.
Correct. And in 6 months or a year's time, you feel that workload remains same, but the efficiency outcome is not there. You have a right to claim for an upgrade or an updated product from our end
True.
without any additional cost. So this is how it helps to de-risk the customer that Mr. Customer, your job is to run your business and leave
Yes.
the IT business to us.
That's so
And that's
true.
the best business outcome we can give to our customer.
Absolutely. No, but that's this is brilliant, and it's increasingly becoming a brilliant conversation, Salinder. But I do have a view on the clock. I know you've got a hard schedule ahead. In conclusion, my question to you, as you look at technology today, Salinder, in its evolution, and as you look at the evolution of industry in terms of maturity of adoption of technology and its use, how do you see Dell Technologies being ready to cater to, and like you, I'm going to use your word, cater to unimagined, uncertain, unforeseen demands and requirements over the near future of the next, let's say, 18 to 24 months? What are the kind of innovation we can expect from Dell Technologies to continue your journey of partnering industry in its path to progress?
So next 24 months, businesses are going to speak about stability.
True.
That's the only thing, the focus they are going to have. They want to, going to consider stability to their business, sustainability of their business, right? So, and it is not going to be a market of demand and supply anymore. Okay. So on the both the things, we have the solutions. When I say the solution, the product innovations is a cycle, right? So roughly 3% of our total revenue we invest on our R&D. So
True.
that evolution would always be there. But like we launched 2 3 products, 15G servers, we launched PowerStore, of course, then we launched PowerScale, and that too happened during pandemic period. So this pandemic never stopped our innovation cycle,
True.
right? So that innovation would happen further, but what uh, we are here for next 24 months, our focus to provide sustainability and stability to our customers business. So any customers who are looking for any IT modernization, we have the solutions like Apex, which are going to be there, which is just services based solutions to the customer,
Indeed.
because customers are going to remain focused on the services they gain, whether they modernize, they tech refresh, or they upgrade,
True that.
and which will help them to sustain and keep their business stable.
And that's, I think, going to be the moot point. Stability, like you rightly said, and the ability to accelerate. And we, within industry, will keep continuing to look forward to Dell showing the way forward. Salinder, it has been delightful as always having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Arjun. It's been pleasure always with you.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen in the audience, that was I, Arjun Vishwanathan, in conversation with Salinder Tomar, channel leader for the storage business at Dell Technologies. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with the next segment in just a moment.
What an enriching conversation. Thank you very much, Selinder and Arjun, for taking us through that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we now move forward to our next segment titled The Innovation Dialogues. And to address the same, let's welcome Mrs. Subramanian Gopalaratnam, who's the CEO and CTO for Resultix, in conversation with Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Knowledge Officer, Strategic Solutions. Once again, over to you, Arjun.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Arjun Vishwanathan, and I am going to be in conversation with a very, very eminent subject matter expert from industry to talk about how organizations are today mandated to render business strategy into action by orchestrating speed, agility, and scale to be able to effectively deliver measurable business results, such as time to market, innovation in business processes, and enhanced customer experiences. And to talk to me about the whole concept of how automation sits right at the very center of reprioritize business strategies, please put your hands together to welcome Subramanian Gopal Ratnam, CEO and CTO of Resultix. Mani sir, welcome. Delighted that you could join us, sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me for a wonderful conversation. I guess this is going to be an important part of
Indeed.
how businesses are going to grow and be something in the near future. Thank you.
Absolutely. Manisa, my question to you is, and I'm directly going to jump into this, is with automation coupled with the benefits of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, the platformization of the economy, promising to enable a new surge of productivity. Why, in your outside in view, and given the vista and the spectrum of visibility you have to industry, considering you are technology innovators, why do you feel that organizations must put automation at the center of reprioritize business strategies?
So let me answer this in two parts. The first part is automation for the sake of automating is not what we are looking at. Automation to the core is to bring the best of the practices and codify them in a way that it combines all the units of a particular company, be it a SME where he's got 4-person operation or an enterprise with 4 million people. The basic principles are the same. You are going to be looking at why you're doing something. Does it make an impact on your customer? So first part is to understand the process, and second part is to look at what should be automated. Automation should support scale. It is not about, if a job takes 2 minutes for a person to do and you're automating it, it's not going to add any value or significance. So you need to be able to pick your fights clearly. An automation should benefit your customers or prospects to consume or select your services or products. The second part is to have an ability for you to replicate this at scale. So in any company, if you're looking at front office staff, not everyone will be the same. Some of your sales guys may be superlative, some of them may be moderate, some of them may be below par. How do you make sure that the top one's abilities are being scaled and provide that kind of a thing across your organization is where automation plays. Automation creates new streams of data. Automation creates huge amount of insights. That's where your predictive analytics and modeling comes. My favorite quote is a lot of times people spend a lot of time in known knowns. So 75% of an organization spends in reporting. What does reporting do? You already know your company is doing well or not doing well. Why do you need reams of reports that needs to be interpreted? That's where the biggest effort goes. The medium leaders in the industries are looking at known unknowns. They know what they don't know. So they strive and put in a lot of effort to understand what is not known. So uncover. The top leaders today are spending all their energies in unknown unknowns. How do I uncover unknowns, which I don't even know it existed? And that's where the concept of machine learning and artificial intelligence comes into play. How do you create patterns? How do you know what is not visible to you, what is going to affect you, what's going to affect your customers? How do you predict this? So an automation coupled with the ability to interpret such kind of immense data to a call to action is where all these see together. And today, thanks to technology availability, it is available in plenty. So I don't have to spend a lot of money. Unlike, when I started my career in mid 80s, I was doing a lot of work for manufacturing industrial optimization. At that time, a PC had a 256 KB of RAM, if you're lucky. How do you run complex models on top of that? We still did it, but it was not giving me a complete view. That's where today we are in a cusp where I'm able to get such a lot of power from my infrastructure, from my services, and even the services that are provided by third parties, which allows me to consume my data at scale, provide experiences to my customer at scale. This is where the playground is today. So we have to be having a strategic view of how this applies to your industry and make sure that you're drawing up the correct plan. This is not one size fits all. You have a lot of tools, but a tool can produce magic in the hands of an expert. And that's how you should be looking at this. And automation and data goes hand in hand.
Oh, absolutely true. I couldn't agree more, and that's actually very powerfully articulated. Because one of the other emerging concepts today of the use or the adoption, the enthusiastic adoption of technology, is also that it brings with it the promise of incremental and superior business outcomes, those that are measurable. So, in your perspective, as you look at technology, and you're neck deep in technology creation and innovation by itself, how do you see the convergence of process, technology, and strategy coming together to help organizations forge a more resilient as well as a more measurable, quantifiable, successful journey ahead?
It's a it's a very loaded question on the onset. So automation actually equals to the process reengineering plus an ability to take out the waste plus understand the outcomes data that is mapped to the business outcome.
True.
Nobody wants to be like, there were times where a presence in web was mandated. Whether it's useful, not useful, nobody bothered. They always said, I had a traffic increment of 200%. On the basis of what? 20 visitors were there last month, 40 visitors are there this month. Doesn't make any sense. All the KPIs that are related to digitization, about automation and all should result in the bottom line. Either you're doing well as a company, your revenues are growing, you have a good amount of prospects you're converting to your vision and your products and services. You have to map everything to hard KPIs, and that will certainly make it easier for you to understand. A lot of times, technology, a shiny piece, does not result in such a thing. It is like, I have a bad car and I've given it the best of the coat. It's not going to help. So we can't put a lipstick on a pig. We have to be looking at it hard and fast to understand whether it makes a difference to the business in hard KPIs, whether your customers like you, whether there is attrition of customers, whether you have increase in revenue, or that customers are giving you a feedback to shut down a product line. A lot of times, a good leader will use this feedback to most constructive ways rather than just be good and feel good.
Fantastic. And therefore, my question to you logically, therefore, is how at Resultix is innovation approached, especially to do with automation, such that you are in a sustainable fashion able to help organizations transform themselves, transform culture by itself, and of course, transform business outcomes. And I know for a fact, for having followed you for a while now, Mani sir, that it's been a fascinating journey, but we'd like to hear that from you.
So essentially, Resultix, I will call it as a plumbing unit for any organization, whereby you can get the most optimal way to create experiences to your customer, understand how your customers are reacting to such stimuli, and learn from it, good or bad, and make sure that you're giving the same experience, be it electronic, be it automated, be it a physical store, the same. So Resultix tries to give you a plumbing that brings the right data and the right decision to you so that you can communicate to your customer at the right time, at the right context, at the right channel, and understand whether it is being received as per your thinking. And is there something that you need to tweak? The platform allows you to do. So the platform supports automation so that you can bring in complex, diversified data about a customer into a place, give the power of such data back to your teams, be it marketing, be it sales, and make them approach these customers with personalized and contextual communication and offers, and understand whether the customers are reacting to that in the correct fashion. And you get to know before you do a deed through the AI and ML models to say whether it is going to be futile to communicate to them. So, it will tell you, don't bother. You're not going to get much good results. So that's how the whole platform helps. And the data that comes out of it is always being matched against what you have and help you to understand better about your customer. The other area that we are very, what do you call, fortunate, we are going to have a few announcements that are coming in. One is with one of the IoT majors. What we are trying to do is to combine the signals that we get across a device portfolio. It could be a video camera, it could be yeah, e-mobile, or it could be a transportation system, and all that. You're able to bring certain understanding of your customer so that you can serve them better. The second part is one of the biggest cloud majors. We are going to work together to bring missing pieces, I call it. Ad tech brings in lots and lots of data, and you have your own transactional data about a customer. How do you match them? How do you enhance them? How do you make sure that the identities are being understood and personified so that you can do that very well? So bringing the chasm between an ad tech and a organization's communication strategy together is the next thing. These are things that will remain for long years. It's like, I would say that it's a radio model where I'll broadcast. If somebody tunes into your frequency, they get to know what it is. But what I'm trying to do is to understand the frequency of the endpoint and transmit the right content to them so that they know they're being valued and they have the best of my organization's ability.
Oh, fantastic. Actually, that's quite fascinating. But I do have a view on the clock, Manisa, and I must ask you a very, very important question, one that is very, very pertinent in the times that we live in, which is how at Resultix, of course, and as well as in your personal experience, do you see this collaboration between ISVs such as yourselves and the hardware and the infrastructure players in crafting compelling and authentic solutions for organizations that genuinely want to move towards becoming the intelligent enterprises of tomorrow? How do you see that collaboration actually helping industry increase its rate of acceleration, whether it is in terms of innovation or hyper competitiveness or scale and agility?
I think this is a very, very important question, right? Today, a lot of times we see hardware and infrastructure are commoditized. So we think that, you have two different views. You call an IT department and ask for something, they will say it will take you 20 days to get one server provisioned, whereas I can do it through one of my partners' sites in less than 3 seconds. So there is a big invasion of businesses understanding technology, so the IT is no longer sitting on top of it. So a lot of hardware vendors today have solutions that does not promote capex based purchases. They are actually supporting cloud. For example, Dell has invested a lot on let's say VMware based solution that not only sits on private data centers but also supported in platforms like AWS. And they also have cloud agnostic multi-cloud solutions that allows you to orchestrate the infrastructure and services across different clouds through one console.
True that.
So all the hardware vendors today have gone up one notch in going from a pure infrastructure as a service to providing platform as a service or platform management as a service to the next level. Even though public clouds are becoming a very important item for everybody's agenda, still regulators are having concerns in terms of how to adapt a public cloud to your organization. That's where private clouds are still going to rule the roost for next 5 to 10 years. And this is again being done by different providers of infrastructure in different ways. So an ISV will have to know what's the best deployment structure for a given industry, given country, and given requirement from a customer. And this collaboration is a must between a SaaS company like Resultix, which provides an ability to deploy the solution in multiple ways and consume it. An ISV who will be partnering with Resultix in implementing this and selecting the best with the likes of the hardware and infrastructure provider and the cloud. This is how I'm seeing it.
Well, that is indeed interesting. And I do have one more important question for you, which is a conversation that's also very dear to me personally. Mani sir, the whole concept of how technology has helped and enabled industry to do so much more must also bear upon technology's ability to increasingly better the lives of ordinary citizens, uh, becoming more inclusive in its nature, driving an all-round enhancement in everybody's lives. How do you see technology evolving so that it is truly democratized to be able to help this planet become, of course, sustainable, more greener, and at the end of the day, lead to social goals and achievements?
This is uh, this is bigger than technology or anything else that we talk about, right? So today, an information availability is commoditized. So there used to be a time 50 years before, the prime universities were catering to middle or upper class citizens. So people who are not able to afford or who did not have an awareness, this knowledge was kept secret at higher realms and the parity was higher. Today, it is available as a commodity. Anybody wants to learn anything, I can go to YouTube and look at a video, understand that. That's where the overall democratization is started. But today, if you look at key trends in tech India, payments has become a commoditized value, right? Like, everyone has a bank account today or a semblance to that, and ability for me to accept payments digitally. I was very, very surprised. In 2019, sorry, I couldn't travel after 2019 March till date
Do that.
to the places. But what I have seen is small cart owners who are small, vegetable vendors. They were able to, take payments through QR, and this is where the changes can be made. This is how everyone is today having a smartphone of some choice.
True.
So all these guys have apps that helps them in doing their services better or consume services from outside. I think this is going to go to a hyperscale in next 5 years or so, where every service is available to everybody. Today, COVID has given, like, for example, all of us hold an application that
Indeed.
shows that we are vaccinated. There is a one single source of truth. It also knows how to track me if there is a outbreak of infection somewhere. They are able to isolate people who are there in there. They're able to send me advices. They have all my medical records relating to COVID today on this.
True that.
It's not far when I can actually bring my entire history securely to myself. So I think this is another area which is very important. And super apps are becoming
Of course.
huge. Super apps allows me to do everything from booking a taxi to buying a coffee to buying a plane ticket and traveling in, etc. in one place. And it is connected to my life. So I can search for a ticket to go somewhere. It could be a bus. Then it actually pre-plans. It tells me traffic is very heavy, so you have to start early. You're going to take a bus, and this is the last bus you can take. Then it tells me that you may be hungry at 7:30 in the morning, so there is a coffee shop nearby. Do you want
True
me
that.
to order for the coffee? So it actually connects me, my world, into something very easy. And that's where customer experiences are going to be received. I'm not going to be looking at somebody trying to hard sell me something. But
It's so
if
true.
I'm pushed to the right direction, it says, my phone is old, your battery is getting old. Can I actually recommend you a Samsung phone? That's how it should be done rather than trying to say you have an offer. Today, 1 to 12 every month, I've been bombarded with messages about offers. But
Yeah.
is it relevant to me? Am I going to buy something which is sustainable
Absolutely.
now?
No, but as always, Mani sir, it has been nothing short of fascinating speaking with you. But much as I'd like to continue this conversation, that's all we have time in this segment for. Deeply, deeply grateful that you could take our time. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, and hope we will continue this conversation sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that was I, Arjun Vishwanathan, in conversation with Subramanian Gopal Ratnam from Resultic. Stay tuned with us, and we'll be back in just a short while.
very much, Subramanian. Thank you, Arjun, for that engaging and thought-provoking conversation. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. I hope you found today's episode of the Digital Dialogues informative and useful. I request you to please take a few moments of your time and fill in the feedback form. We'd love to hear your suggestions and feedback. This will help us enhance the content, structure, and delivery of our content. We thank you all once again for joining us today. On behalf of Dell Technologies, Reddington, and Strategy, I thank you all. We look forward to welcoming you at our upcoming webinars and conferences. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.